fastball. 10 of 11 on the year. From 28 yards away for an Aggie upset win. And it's good. He got
it. So, guys, watch any football this weekend?
Well, I don't know. Did anything happen?
I don't think so. I think just a regular old boring week right in the middle of the year. Nothing really to talk about.
Yeah. Go ahead. Make my millennium. You know, I'm feeling a little anxious. You know what I mean? Wonder if there's any way a guy like me, regular old Joe, could find any action. Hey, what does that say in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen now?
It says your new number one. That can't be right. Alabama's number one.
Alabama was crowned national champion when they beat Miami, you know, the mighty Hurricanes.
What? Oh, wait a second.
Huh?
I just looked at my notes here, and turns out Bama lost.
Yeah, I kind of knew that happened when all my Gump cousins got real quiet.
So boy, that means
they was texting me and messaging me and giving me all sorts of noise before the game, talking about, y'all's defense is something. But we ain't worried about y'all's offense. Y'all should have been worried about something. Because something happened. But this is a Georgia show. I ain't here to talk about Alabama. What happened. They number 5. And that's just the way it goes. I hope if Georgia loses a game, though, ranked number 1 to an unranked team, I hope we only fall 4 spots.
That would be nice. Hey, let's do that thing. All right, so you brought up a good point. I didn't come here to talk about Alabama. I came here to talk about Georgia. Because here we are in a rarefied position, number 1 ranking. All eyes on us, baby. So what do we do with that?
Before we get into all that, my question is this. You know, let's say we're still number 1 when we roll into Rocky Top. Because right now Tennessee is unranked. And let's say Tennessee pulled it off and beat us. Mm-hmm. I would hope that we would only fall to number 5 after losing to a unranked team. How many losses does Tennessee have?
Tennessee, did they have 2?
Right. I think A&M also had 2. So an unranked 2-loss team beats Alabama, and they fall to number 5. I just hope that the voters out there would extend the same courtesy to Georgia should that happen. Of course, in 2008, which was the last time we had a number 1 ranking, we were winning games and still lost rankings. Now, probably in hindsight, that was deserved because once a real team showed up at the blackout, Alabama, we got the brakes beat off of us. But, you know, if you're going to do things like what just happened, be consistent. I would have liked to see Alabama fall into the upper, 10, 8, 9, somewhere in there.
Well, it's like what Ohio State earlier lost a game to
Oregon.
A ranked undefeated team.
Yeah.
And they dropped to like 11, 10?
Yeah, and we hate the Buckeyes. Let's get that straight. We hate the Buckeyes, but
what's good for the goose,
It's good for the gander. If you're going to drop somebody, drop somebody. Alabama,
You mean to tell me that Alabama's resume is better than Ohio State's resume?
I don't know if I can say that. Also, Texas A&M got beat, respectably by Arkansas, who we shut out. So you lost to a team that went on the road and wasn't able to score. Mitch and Matt, A&M just dropped that "You Will Die" epic duel. I wish I knew who that was. That sounds like Josh.
Guarantee you that is Josh Suggs. And Josh, bro, come on the show, man. Let's chat.
I ain't seen Josh since Epic Duel.
Listen, here, Josh, you see this link down at the bottom of the screen right here? go on and type that in your browser. Come on the show. We will talk about epic duels. And by epic duels, I mean Georgia versus Kentucky. All right?
All right, let's get into this real quick. Well, actually, no. Back up. We got to follow up on Auburn.
Oh, you want to kick off with the old business first. Old business first.
Real quick. I know Auburn's your favorite rival. I just want to, I hope y'all's kids are in bed if you're watching this show, because this ain't going to be PG. I got news for you. I've had enough of Auburn.
Tell them.
These people had the audacity. Wait, let me back up. Auburn fans ain't gonna know what that word means. Where do you some of my bitches get the balls to go on the internet and put your name on it that Georgia won that game because of atrocious officiating, when everybody knows Auburn has benefited from atrocious officiating in that stadium for decades?
Yeah, and they have it copyrighted, right?
I'm not done. Then they gonna come back and say, well, Nolan Smith put a dirty hit on Tank Bigsby. Yes, he did. And you know why? Because y'all deserved it. That was payback for all the dirty plays after dirty plays after dirty plays that Nick Fairley put on Aaron Murray that didn't get called, that you not only didn't bitch about, but you cheered for. So Auburn fans, children, go to bed. Y'all need to sit down, have a Coke and a smile, and shut the fuck up. You got what you deserved, and I hope you suffer, because your suffering sustains me.
Your suffering sustains me. It's funny that Aaron Murray was broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that Nick Fairley's name came up in the broadcast. I wish I had that audio clip. And Murray was a pro, and just let it slide.
Mm-hmm.
But you are absolutely right. Auburn is the last team to whoever should complain about another team's luck, benefiting from penalties, or benefiting from dirty play. All of those things. So, suck it, Ward Tigers.
The Plains Eagles. Are you a cat? Are you a bird? Are you a man? Auburn.
Birds.
Figure it out. Right now, you're just losers.
Now you're in the rearview mirror.
Up out of here and suffered, 2 more losses probably this year.
We'll see.
Some of them bitches. Now, I don't want to beat that anymore. That cat was skinned. There is only one way to skin a cat, and it's 34-10. At home with 48 rushing yards. So let's transition into Kentucky. What's the new fairy tale? What's the new narrative?
Well,
here's what I mean by that. All these teams, we'll start with Arkansas. Starting with Arkansas and then into Auburn and now moving forward. These teams that are going into playing Georgia are the biggest, strongest, meanest, feel-good story, upset-minded, something Georgia's never seen before, the first real test, the first road test, the first this and the first that. And then when Georgia makes mashed potatoes out of them and we come out of it, then it's, they ain't nobody. It's just Arkansas. It's just Auburn. That's just something that always concerned me. The about face that gets done once Georgia crumples up the trash in front of it that was supposed to be this thing that Georgia was going to have to deal with.
So the thing that Georgia's going to have to deal with this week, here are the facts. And spin them however you want, or however she wants. It doesn't matter to me. Here's the facts. Georgia's undefeated. Kentucky is undefeated. Georgia's 6-0. Kentucky is 6-0. Kentucky has a win over Florida. So if Georgia beats Kentucky and then beats Florida next week, the East is all but locked up. I mean, at that point, Kentucky would need Georgia to lose 2 games in the East, and Florida would need Georgia to lose 3 games. All right, with 6 games left. There's nothing that.
That's right, because just to clarify, SEC losses count as losses when you're going for your division.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So, and if in the event of a tie, do your cross division. So, right now in the East, Georgia and Kentucky are tied for first. This game will break that tie. I mean, it's a big moment for Kentucky. I'm not here to. I got nothing.
It's a big moment for us.
It is.
I've been shit talk heavy, but if you want me to get to the real talk, I'm fine with doing that too. But you go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say first of all, I want to say something about Kentucky. I've been high on them all year, and I think it's deserved. I've watched play, seen what they've done. I've seen their results. I've actually watched them actually play. And dude, I got to be honest with you, Matt. They sort of remind me of us in 2017. They're built similar. They got a quarterback that is equitable to Jake Fromm. All right, I think the Kentucky people probably like him a good bit more than we liked Fromm, but they got a good pair of running backs, Rodriguez and Smoke, right? One is more of a Nick Chubb style, bigger body, and the other one is more of a Sonny Michel, more of a speed guy. They got a couple of receivers, though one of them is hurt. Joshua Ali is hurt. They got another receiver, Wandale Robinson, who's a good go-getter. They got a big old tight end. They play good offensive and defensive line, and they got a couple of guys, who go intercept passes. They're good at pressuring the backfield. I mean, they're all around just solid, right? And they got a really good coach. I can't say enough good things about Mark Stoops. He's done a great job at Kentucky. He is not a winner's paradise, right? And but he's managed to beat Gators 2 times since Mullen's been there. And that's worth something, right? And for the second time in 3 years? For the second time in 3 years, 4 years, he and Georgia, his team in Georgia, are both playing for the SEC East now. It's worth something.
It's
a lot of the guys that were on that team the first time too are still on that team and remember how that feels, and that's got to give them a little bit extra incentive. So
it's a different Kentucky. This is not your dad's Kentucky football team. Stoops has made them, a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
A pain in the ass that can beat you.
Well, I think Georgia, even more important than that, or more like important to us than that, is that Kentucky hasn't. We won 11 straight against Kentucky, but Kentucky hasn't beaten us. They have beaten us up. We consistently go into Kentucky and get put through the wood grinder.
I will concede a 2-point win, and you can slide us all the way back to number 4. I'll give you that if we can get out of this game with no injuries.
I mean, that's a fair
injuries
point,
right? Or injuries that are irrelevant. Fourth quarter, some guy from the stands gets his ankle rolled. If we can get out of this game with little to no injuries, we can look as ugly as we need to look. You can make fun of us all you need to, and we can slip all. I'll give you number 4. That's as far as I'll go if it means we can get out of it, because they chewed our asses up last year, and that's a big reason why we couldn't sustain against Florida.
Do you remember how many injuries we left Kentucky with?
I don't have the number, but I remember it was like one after the other. But it wasn't like third stringers. It was like Jordan Davis, and I think Richard LeCount had come back from the motorcycle thing only to re-injure himself again. Mm-hmm. I want to say we rolled into Jacksonville with like 4 legit defensive starters and 2 offensive starters. Check my numbers. It was a lot.
It was 6.
They chewed our asses up. Okay? And that's not a recipe for success. Now, here's the thing. This is true and it's not true. There's a lot of talk that these backups who've been playing so well might not be backups even when the starters come back. Because, I mean, damn, dude. We're mashing people with Ladd, the Honky, McConkey,
right.
Brock, Bowser.
And let me do this one. Action Dan Jackson.
Action Jackson. Dude, we watched Action Jackson get destroyed in the spring game. We were like, man, he shouldn't even be on the team. Now he blocks a punt. He blocks a punt. We score. Guys out there, like, playing ball. Georgia's like the great white hope. These are all like no-star white kids, including Stetson Bennett. He's a walk-on.
Right.
So Auburn and Arkansas and anybody else who takes issue with that, just know that a bunch of 5'10", 185-pound white boys is who's beating
stars.
That's who's beating you.
Yeah. No, you're
right. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. I'm not going to sit. Y'all know how I feel about Stetson Bennett. I say the fourth, and I'm not going to change my tune on that. Guy's played well. He's won us some games. Good for him. But against a Kentucky, we need to either stay even on injuries or have no injuries, and I would give you an ugly win so you can make fun of us if we can just not get hurt. And then take the week off to Kirby. In the week off, no contact. Massage, ice baths, happy endings, whatever you need to do to get these boys back in the game, because I need some dudes back. We could lose this game. We could lose this game to Kentucky. We could lose the game to Florida. We could lose the game up in Rocky Top. It ain't got nothing to do with them. It's got to do with us. We're already it's razor thin. We start getting banged up on top of already being banged up. Bad shit can start happening. We show up flat. They start sniffing themselves, reading that number one ranking, reading the clippings, and just think that you think Florida and Kentucky and Tennessee are just going to lay down because you've been anointed by other people to be the best team in the country. You get your ass whooped. Could Georgia lose in the next month? Yes, they could.
Yeah. In fact, it's going to be.
If Georgia brings the brand of football that they've brought in the first 5 weeks, I find it highly unlikely.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the opposite, Matt. Like people aren't going to lay down and worship at the foot of the Georgia Bulldog, right? They're not going to do that. They are going to give us their very strongest punch, right there, buddy, right in the chin, and we're going to have to make sure that jaw is strong.
Absorb it.
I think that. I mean, it scares the crap out of me with Kentucky, man. Because here's the deal: what if we do lay an egg, and Kentucky wins? It's over. The dream is over. All right. There's no way.
No,
back.
Not really. We'd be in the same boat as Alabama. I think you'd have to pick up the pieces. You got to now beat Florida. You got to now beat Tennessee.
Yeah, we still need Kentucky to lose too.
Who else have they got? Let's pull it up.
Already played. If they beat us, they would have already played us and Florida. So
Kentucky's they got Tennessee at home. Ooh, Vanderbilt, Mexico. Okay, so if Kentucky upsets Georgia, they have to go to Starkville. Mm-hmm. They get to host the Volunteers, and then they have to go to Vanderbilt. We won't count that one. Mm-hmm. Basically, they got to get past Mike Leach and Tennessee.
And if they've gotten past Florida and Georgia, that seems like the larger of those tasks, right?
If Kentucky beats Georgia, upsets Georgia this weekend, I think you are safe to put your money on blue for the East.
Yeah. I think you're right. And so that's what I'm talking. It is important. We don't have room for error. So as good as the season's been, as good as the ranking is, as good as all that, all the numbers have been, all the fun trash talking, it all comes to this. If we do not win on Saturday, the dream is over.
But that's up to Georgia. That's not up to Kentucky, and here's why. It's not up to Florida either. It's not up to Tennessee when we visit them. This is what's different. I've told you this is going to be a weird year, and this Georgia team is different. None of those teams are better than Georgia. It's all down to what we do. It's not them overpowering us. It's not them out-scheming us. It's not them out-playing us. It's does Georgia show up and get the job done, or does Georgia lay an egg? Does Georgia get overconfident? Here's the thing. In previous years where we've had great teams, you could still see the boneheaded coaching decisions. Mm-hmm. You could still see Georgia beating themselves here and there. You're like, oop, that's a big issue. You could still see just inexplicable things that Georgia would do in any phase of the game. You're like, what the hell just happened? You haven't seen that with this team yet.
Nope.
Special teams, elite. I know we had some lineup issues. Podlesny's not perfect on his field goals, but still elite. The offense, I don't know. Like, the people who are harping on the offense are running out of gas. I told y'all, I've been saying it. There's a wart, and then we rub out that wart, and then there's another wart. All right, and we get rid of that wart, and there's another wart. We just keep moving along, and the offense has been most indicative of that. At first, we had no offense. There was no offense. You only scored 10 against Clemson. You couldn't even score. You got no offense. You're through. Then we come out and we blister somebody, but it's in the passing game. But you got no running game now. They can't run the ball. We got you now. Then you come out the next week and run the ball, but you don't pass so well. Oh, shit. Okay, the running game's mediocre. It's the passing game that suffers. Then you come back the next week and you start to do a little bit of both. And then the next week, both get even better. And I've already told you I'm not going to talk about the defense no more. Because it's getting.
I want to say something.
It's redundant.
Can I please? It is.
No, because
I'm going to say it.
Okay,
here's the thing.
Folks, I tried to stop him.
I can mute you, and you could just wave wildly.
I've already been muted on this show like 3-4 times. I don't think anybody's got that record yet, but you go ahead.
Here are some facts for you that I just want you to consider halfway through the season. The University of Georgia's opponents this year have had 73 possessions. Of those 73 possessions, 52 of those possessions have lasted for 5 or fewer plays. 52 out of 73 have gone for 5 or fewer plays. Of those 73 possessions, 8 of those 73, that's roughly 1 out of 9, 8 of those 73 has made it all the way to the 20-yard line. And of those that have made it to the 20-yard line, only 1 has scored a touchdown. So 1 red zone touchdown in 73 possessions. That's pretty freaking stout, dude. That's pretty stout.
I think the reality is now starting to set in. That's why we don't have a lot of orange people on the show tonight. You notice when there was still a lot of doubt and scuttlebutt, we had orange people everywhere. We lost a Gator a few weeks ago because he had an existential crisis. Now all of a sudden, the Tennessee boys are gone because they've got a cough and a cold and they got to rest. It's because it ain't funny no more. It's uncomfortable now. We feel it too.
Well, we felt it first.
All of a sudden, all these rivals and these colleagues don't want nothing else to do with that red and black G behind our 2 picture.
So I think I've got it figured out, Matt. I think I know what the problem is. It's not that Georgia's team is too good or that its opponents are not good enough. It's neither of those things. What it actually is that the field is just too long on one side. We just shorten that field up to right about the 20-yard line. Makes these games a little more competitive, right? Not really, because he's really only just given up about a score and a half, a game.
I think you're going to see in the next 4 weeks, the teams that are left are going to have a lot of success like Auburn did between the 20s.
Sure.
It's when they get to what happens when you get to that 20? And now all of a sudden it gets real short and it gets real tight. Now what you going to do?
Suddenly you're locked in a phone booth with Jordan Davis.
Do you kick a field goal? Do you kick a field goal knowing that 3 points is not going to cut it? Or do you do something stupid and you start seeing some of these teams like, screw it. We're ranked 22nd. Now we got nothing. They're number 1. Let's go for it. Or do you go for it? And invite that defense to feast. I do not want to be – I don't want to be an offensive coordinator right now against Georgia. It's not a job that I envy.
How would you even scheme? How would you do it? And, it's like I told you, I think you have to go ahead and decide the most you're going to be able to do is score 1 touchdown. You might score 1 because teams have done that. You might score 1. You're going to have to cash in some of those deep drives for 3 points. you're going to have to probably get 3 of those, right? So you're going
You're
to
have to
get 7.
you're going to have to hit the explosive, 60, 80-yard bomb to score. Georgia's given up bombs, but they're not. Nobody has taken the top off of our defense yet. You've gotten behind us, but we're so god dang fat. You try to throw screens. Try to go around the edge, the perimeter. I want you to. I want you to do it. I want you to. They tried that with Tank Bigsby. He's one of the better running backs in the SEC. And Nolan Smith took him to Suplex City.
It is true.
I just know he really did. It caught a flag. That's the one Auburn fans were bitching about. Well,
that's the one I told you about. That was the one moment in the game where I thought, I didn't like it. Anyway, it's like one of these things. It doesn't matter if it's raining $20 bills. You got to find something to complain about. That one was.
It made me feel good. It made me feel good because I remember Nick Fairley just trying to commit legal murder on Aaron Murray. It was payback. Y'all deserved it. I'm glad it happened.
Okay. So what I was saying though was, in order to beat this team, I think you're going to have to find a way to score 16 points in the neighborhood of a touchdown and 3 field goals, and then figure out a way to hold the offense to 14. So if and when Georgia loses, the score is going to look like that. It's going to look like 16-14, 14-12, something like that. I'm just telling you.
What about 28?
What about
28 points?
If
the team can score 28 points on Georgia's defense, if you've got that kind of juju on the day, it might be your day.
Bro,
is that making sense?
Yeah, absolutely, it's making sense.
If you score 28 on Georgia's defense, it's your day. That is your day.
I'm just saying, I don't know whether the Detroit Lions could score 28 on this defense. I'm just saying. Don't
do that shit. I hate that shit. I hate it when Alabama's and USC, all these great teams in the past, like now that we're here talking for real, I think we could go after the worst team in the NFL. No, you can't. Stop. I like the hyperbole. I understand. That's like when Nolan said, "Oh, we're playing the New England Patriots. Nobody's going in our end zone." Let me assure you that the New England Patriots would pick you all up and put you in your own end zone. But no, if you could score like 28 on this defense, it's your day.
Who can do that? Where is the team?
Kentucky. I'm asking.
Kentucky?
I'm asking you.
Hell
okay.
No.
Florida?
Hell no.
Florida?
No. Absolutely not.
All right. Hey, before the Florida fans come after me, as they're wont to do, Mitch said it, not me. What about
No.
Missouri?
Absolutely not. Nope.
Tennessee? At Rocky Top?
28 points? No way.
Charleston Southern?
No.
Georgia Tech?
No.
The winner of the SEC West?
I don't think so.
Okay, well.
I don't think there's a team over there that can score 28 on us.
If Mitch is to be believed, then we are making the playoffs. I'm a little more cautious. I think it will depend on us.
Yeah.
I like that defense. They got passed on at Auburn between the 20s. But then you saw, like, in times when they needed to nut up, Auburn didn't have an answer. You forced me to talk about the thing I didn't want to talk about.
I got no love for Auburn, so I'm just going to let you finish up for them. I felt that we didn't play as well as we could have against Auburn. I felt like I would like to have seen us be a little bit sharper, a little bit hungrier. I feel like we gave them too much and didn't take enough from them. And at the end of the day, even though I felt like that, at the end of the day, it was 34-10. I mean, it was an utter.
When was the last time we held Auburn to 10 points at Jordan-Hare Stadium?
at their stadium. Geez, I don't know, but we have held them to some low scores recently. Here, matter of fact, I can just pull it up.
Well, hell, I'll tell you. So, 2021 was 10 points. Let's go back to 2019. Auburn. 14.
Was that the last time we played over there?
14 in 2017. Oh, yeah, we held them to oh, no, that was not. See, here's where it gets weird. We switched with Auburn. Remember, there was some shit where they cried like babies, as they are wont to do.
Mm-hmm. See, I can't remember when the switch came. Well, I do know that in 2017 we played them in at their place in the regular season. That was when they scored 40 on us, right? And then we turned around and beat them in the SEC championship.
13 points in 2015. You know what? I feel like we're spending too much time on Auburn. Kentucky. You know, Chris Rodriguez had a blunt message. Had a very blunt message for UGA.
What's that?
And it's on video right now. I was hoping I could just read it, but I'm going to assume it's something to the effect of, you know, what Brenton Sloppy Seconds Cox said about Alabama. Like, we ready? Are you ready? That kind of shit. I could be wrong, but I'm assuming that just like Arkansas and just like Auburn and just like every other flavor of the week team marching into the maw that is Georgia, they've got some inexplicable confidence, some chip on their shoulder. Honestly, my objective is get in, get a win, get out, no injuries.
Did you read the comments from Rodriguez?
It was in a video, and my earphones are plugged into this show, not my other computer. So,
all right, hang tight here. I might be able to share this video.
Read them up.
Let's see.
Hey, if Tennessee's thing doesn't work out this year while you're looking, if like the hype is not real, I know y'all were real high, you know, when you were in your coaching carousel. I hear John Gruden's available.
Oof. Is he though? Is he though?
For Tennessee, he might be. They still like that kind of thing around there.
I don't know if this is talking about.
Oh yeah, we know what we're going for next. They're ready. You know, I always say we got a 24-hour rule. You know, great win, but 24 hours is up. On to the next.
Is there more juice for you with your ties to the state? Hell, even the last time you went down there.
Yeah, I know you remember last year. But, you know, right pissed off. So that's all I'm gonna.
Okay, there you go.
Fair enough.
Got it.
Fair enough.
Chip on his shoulder.
Fair
Said
enough.
He wants to run pissed off.
I believe him. They work hard too.
Yeah.
I don't know if. I just don't know if they're ready for that environment on that day. Arkansas wasn't.
Oh, wait a second. Video wasn't. I might have been done with the video, but it was not done with me. Yeah. So, what do you want to see in the game aside from a lack of injuries and all that good business? What do you want to see us do versus Kentucky?
I'll be happy with 35-10 and nobody gets hurt.
Okay. I also would be happy with that, but I would really like for us to hold their rushing to under 60, under maybe 50. If we can hold them to less than 60 yards rushing.
Okay.
And if we can hold them to under 100 yards passing, be good with that. If you get the stat sheet and see that they had 150 total yards, I think I'd be good with that. I would be. I don't even really care what we do offensively, because I think we'll do whatever we want to be honest with you. As it turns out, this is for the sake of full disclosure. Kentucky's going to be missing two of its defensive linemen, and also their number 2 receiver, Joshua Ali. He's out for the week, Their 2 D linemen are out. I listened to Mark Stoops' press conference today. He is concerned. Those are notable losses for them. He's got some guys who are going to rotate, and they're going to try to do patchwork. He said the problem with playing a team like Georgia is that you can't hide. You can't hide your shortcomings because Georgia will magnify them, right? And so that's the problem that he's going to have to face. How do you get quality bodies on the field? Because Kentucky has a problem that some of the other SEC teams, like Arkansas is a good example. They just don't have the depth. We have a tremendous amount of depth, which is why we've been able to overcome all of this rash of injuries. We talk about starters and second string and third string. Listen, dude, you know who the 5th best team in the country is right now? The 5th best team in the country is Georgia's second string, right? And the third string is probably top 10, right? But the fact is that we don't really have a starter or a second string. We rotate so many dudes. Starter just means you got the first play, and your backup gets the next one.
That's the formula Kirby's going with. You come to Georgia, you get the start. That means you get the first ball, you get the first snap, and then you're out. And another guy comes in, so that by the time the fourth quarter rolls around, you got fresh legs and fresh lungs. Also, by the time you get to the NFL, should you be blessed with that opportunity, you don't have 150,000 miles on you.
It's true. And so I think that from a parental standpoint, if somebody says, "Hey, listen, you can go to Kentucky, for example, and then go to Kentucky like Chris Rodriguez. Chris Rodriguez is leading the SEC in rushing. He's a baller, dude. You know who else led the SEC in rushing is what's the kid's name from Auburn in 2017? Kerryon Johnson. Remember Kerryon Johnson?
Beast.
He was a beast until he walked into the SEC championship with 2 little sticks supporting himself because Gus had already ran him down to his knees.
So that's a selling point for recruit. You know who else that's a selling point for? Mommy and daddy.
Yes, exactly.
He'll get carries, mommy and daddy, but he won't get 30 carries. And so by the time he goes to buy your new house, he'll have 2 to 3 extra years on it to make all that more money if he comes here. I'm just saying it's a formula thing. Who we picking?
You ready to these picks? Well, since we're talking about Kentucky and Georgia, why don't we start with that one? I know it's a 3:30 game, but why don't we start with it? It's a good
Hold up.
segue.
Let me see what you got here.
I think you let's see. You said, what did you say? 35 to 10? Is that what you said?
It started at 24, didn't it?
It did, and then it dipped, and then I think it's moved again. I think I saw a spread as high as 23.5 from one service, and I saw another one as low as 21.
Are we going with this one?
This is the one that I'm going with because it's the first one that I saw. And I'm consistent with all of them. So,
I shall take Georgia.
I think this is FanDuel's number.
Fantastic. I'll take Georgia on this one. And don't be surprised if they don't double, but get close to doubling the spread as they've done the past few weeks.
I really can see a situation where Georgia scores in the low to mid 40s, 42, 45, something like that, and gives up less than 10 points.
Yeah. I was told by, I listened to the late kick, Josh Pate, and he said Arkansas is not going to bend. Arkansas will not break. Arkansas will not wither. That happened in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
It may happen to Kentucky. If it does,
well, I think Josh was right, sort of.
No,
they didn't listen. It's not like Kentucky surrendered. I'm sorry, excuse me, Arkansas. It's not like Arkansas surrendered. We just imposed ourselves upon them.
Dude, by the fourth quarter, their defensive line was running escort along our running backs. Don't tell me they surrendered. They didn't want no more. I synced it. If I had the footage and knew how to do it, I'd put it up on this show. Yes, they wilted, they withered, they broke, and then they just became vassals. And it may happen to Kentucky.
I think that Kentucky and
let's bring back
Arkansas
feudalism. And Georgia.
I think Arkansas and Kentucky are similar teams. I think they're very similar, and we saw how
That ain't good news for Kentucky.
the first episode worked out for them. So I'm putting you down for UGA, and of course I'm gonna take UGA as well. All right. Let's go back. Let's backtrack a little bit. There's some interesting games this week. So the noon game, one of the noon games. This is an interesting game. Auburn at Arkansas. They're going to Arkansas, where the Pigs are a 3.5-point favorite.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
The same people that said that Arkansas was the feel-good story and this was going to be the thing that Georgia might have trouble handling were also the same people afterwards that said, no, we were just kidding. It's just Arkansas. The egg is on their face, but I have believed in Arkansas since the beginning. And I said they would beat Ole Miss 52-51. What else do you want? At least they covered.
Man, for real, they covered. Yeah.
I'm going with the Pigs on this one.
You're gonna take the Pigs and lay the points, huh? Hey, listen, first of all, give me an Arkansas versus Ole Miss style game every Saturday. I'll follow you anywhere you want to go. All right. That game was entertaining as hell. Sure. I would watch that game again right now. In fact, I might log off and go watch that game. It was very entertaining. I was into it. I had my executive director at the library was standing on my shoulder. Dude, she don't even know what football is, but she knew that this guy just scored. And then that guy scored, and then this other guy scored, and the crowd was really in it, and it was just like watching a tennis match, right? And she was like, "This is really cool," you know what I mean? She was watching it. So I think that Arky and Ole Miss are tit for tat, right?
Who are you taking? Are you taking the Pigs?
I am taking the Pigs. That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking Arkansas and Ole Miss are tit for tat, and that's a tit and a tat better than the War Pig Tiger. What the hell?
Man, Bear, Pig. The Auburn Bear Pigs.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Pigs on that one too, man. All right.
Because they don't know who they
are. The other noon game, though. The shoe game.
Listen, I have no choice. I have no choice. I had no choice when it was said when we did a preseason show with our Florida colleague who's mysteriously disappeared. He said, if we want to put the effort into this, you can go back and find the show. He said the game Florida would most likely lose would be to LSU. So I'm doing this for him. I'm making the sacrifice. I'm taking one for the team.
Don't do it.
And I'm picking LSU because he told me to. He told me to. He told us to. What else are we supposed to do from a Florida? The Florida fan finally said, hey, man, the 90s and the 2000s are over. We're not football gods anymore. We're actually just mediocre, and LSU's proof. Okay, I'll take your word for it, Florida man. LSU in Death Valley at night. I'm sorry, it's not me. His words, not mine.
You get a 10-point. You get a 10-point safety net to go with that pick. And dude,
it wasn't my choice. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to pick the Alligators. There's no such thing as a gator, by the way. Get your colloquialisms right, you fucking morons. It's an alligator. It's an alligator. Say it right. I expect alligators to join the woke mob and start going after Florida for misappropriation. And they should. But the Tigers will beat the alligators because our alligator analyst friend said so.
I am going to take the Gators. I'm going to take the Gators.
So you are going to break his heart and defy him. Okay.
Listen, man. Yeah. And if that's what it takes. The Fighting Edwards runs are a mess. They're a mess.
They are.
They are a hot mess. This has less to do with Florida and more to do with LSU. All right. Keyshawn Boutte, he's gone. Gone for the year. Right?
Real talk though. Real talk. The Florida man said that LSU is to Florida now what Florida was to Georgia in the 90s. Like it's mental now. There was
Okay.
no logical reason or there was no scenario where LSU should have won that game last year in the Swamp. None. Zero.
Correct.
None. Zero. Florida was the better team.
Yeah, they were a shoe-in.
Mitch, my God.
Oh, come on. You know you were waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Dude. Where's your humanity? But too soon. But it happened, and that we saw that shit in the 90s. There were teams in the 90s that Georgia had that could have beaten Steve Spurrier's pants off, but it didn't happen because he got in here. And these are, again, not my words. These are a Florida fan telling us that it's now in here. So, yes, it is a mess in Baton Rouge, in Red Stick, but I think LSU finds a way based on what I was told.
Before we go to the next game, let me ask you this. If LSU loses, that puts them at 3-4 on the year. How many more are they going to lose?
I don't know, but they're going to find Ed Orgeron's body out in the swamp somewhere with his throat cut. That's how the Cajuns do it. Not the nice ones, the mean ones. And they're mean.
7 o'clock game. I'm going to Mississippi State. The Fighting Mike Leaches.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. You just straight up Roll Tide. You and I, we talked about this.
Listen, I've also said since we started this show, a pissed off Nick Saban is a dangerous Nick Saban. You don't think he's pissed? You don't think he's pissed? Okay, fine. Don't believe it. They gonna roll the Pirate.
Mississippi State.
You got blue balls, and you finally got a leg. That's what's fitting to happen. People even know what that means anymore.
Did you know? Stop talking. Just drink your drink. Did you know that Mississippi State, I think, is it 3 or 4? They play 6 games, so 3 or 4 of their games. I have to look this up again. 3 or 4 of their games have been decided by 1 or fewer scores. Okay, so they're all wins. Some of them are losses, right? But what I'm saying is they're a team that plays other teams close, and I get that. I'm just looking at 17.5, thinking, man, that's more than 3 scores. That's geez, that's 3 touchdowns.
I hear the same thing from you and all them orange people who used to come on this show before reality set in. Every time a spread's over like 10 points, all of you were like, oh my God. I'm like, fuck it, take it. Are y'all gambling money and you ain't told me yet?
I mean, if I were, I wouldn't bet this game. I would bet it.
If you were gambling, if any of you people were gambling money that have been on this show to make picks, you would not have picked against Georgia to cover. But you did, which lets me know you're either stupid or you're just trolling. And that needs to be called out. That's not – Bama will beat Mississippi State probably 35-0. You don't believe me?
The same Mississippi State that beat Texas A&M.
Well, Texas A&M also lost to Arkansas, and we blanked Arkansas. Like, we can go round and round all you want. I'm telling you, Nick Saban, what did he say? I want everybody here to remember how you feel. They're going to remember how they felt.
Are you trying to talk me into taking Bama? Or who do you want me to take?
Did you need me to talk you into taking Bama? Where is your head?
All right, I'm taking Bama.
Okay. Credibility means something around these parts.
Man, what if you wake up and it's a 3-point game?
I'll feel like Rohan felt when you said, what will you say when it's 42-3? Well, I'll tip my hat.
Yeah.
But I doubt it.
This one actually be the most interesting to me. And it's Mississippi, Ole Miss going into Tennessee. They're going to Rocky Top, and they're a favorite. Mississippi's a favorite. 3 points. Now, I want to go first.
Okay.
One of these things is true. A, Tennessee is legit. They have a high 5-powered offense. They are here to score points. They have trouble stopping people to score points. That's what Dren said to us on this show earlier. We won't have trouble scoring points. We will have trouble stopping other guys from scoring points. He said that. All right. One of these things is true. Either that is true, or Tennessee has played the worst teams in the SEC so far and has inflated their appearance to the rest of us, and has made the Vulcan spot into something that is not real.
Do you mean Missouri and South Carolina?
I do mean them. I do mean them.
You know, I read a lot, especially things having to do with history. And the history of this season is that once upon a time, Georgia was putting up 56 and 62 points, too, against UAB and Vanderbilt. Maybe we conflated our stats a little bit. I think the same could be said for Tennessee.
So the problem is this. Ole Miss ain't going to stop Tennessee from scoring. Ole Miss can't stop anybody from scoring. Ole Miss is going to score a lot of points.
So they're right back where they started. All I heard in the offseason was, oh, boy, Kiffin done got him a defense. Here we go. Land sharks. Nope.
It hasn't materialized yet. And I don't think it's going to at this point. Ole Miss is going to have to outscore you to beat you. And the question is, who's got better depth and established program?
I'm going to go. I have to go with Kiffin and Ole Miss because he's got a couple of years on Heupel. Rocky Top's going to be a tough place to play. I think that place will be rocking for this. But I mean, I have to say, I think Ole Miss is going to win this game.
Here's another thing to consider. Both these teams run quick, fast, in a hurry style offenses. How many plays are they going to run? Do you think these two teams could combine for 150 plays?
It's lower than the number I was going to say, but I was trying to be funny, like 5,000.
Do you think they could combine?
I don't think the defenses will just be on the sideline. They're not even going to trot the defenses out. It's right. Like, all right, who makes the prettier throw? We're going to judge this on who looks better because the defenses are a non-factor.
I like Matt Corral.
You have to, man. Like, shit talk aside, Lane is more entrenched with that team and that offense than Heupel is with Tennessee. Let's meet in like a year or two. That might be a different story. I just don't think Tennessee has the guns.
No, they lost 26 guys to the portal. That's a number that means something. All right?
God, how bad is Missouri and Carolina when you get raced against a team that lost 26 guys to the portal?
Yeah. There's something to be said about what Heupel's doing, though. He did bring in a quarterback. You know, he has brought that speed to the offense, and it doesn't like school Tennessee. It's very different, right? They want to move the ball quickly and they want to move it down the field. I get it. It makes sense. I think Kiffin has a lot of that in him too. Kiffin's just, he's been around a little longer, and I've gotten to see his innovation a little bit longer. But maybe Heupel's the same kind of guy. Maybe they're running trick plays every. Who knows, man. I just think that I don't know, man. What if I asked you? What if I said 175.5? What if I said that's the number? 175.5. Will the number of plays that are combined between the two teams, the number of plays, be higher or lower than that number?
Lower than that number. I mean, come on.
Okay, what if I said 165.5?
How many plays are they averaging?
Jeez, that's a good question. Let's find out.
You got 2 minutes. We're going to keep this one under an hour. I'm not sitting here for an hour with two people. We got 5 people in here running their mouths. I get it. An hour 10. 54 minutes we've been running our mouths. Right. You better come up with it quick.
Let's see. Ole Miss versus
The snake ain't going to drain itself. Let's go.
Play. All right, hang on. Let's see here. All right, so Arkansas had 35 passing attempts and 37, 48 plus 7 is 55 and 3 is 58. So that's 60, 95, 93. Man, Arkansas ran 93 plays last week. Arkansas ran 93 plays last week.
Shit. Okay, maybe 160.
93 plays. Jeez. Okay, so if I say 160, 160.5, I'm just going to write this down on a little margin over here, 160.5. You want more than that or less than that?
More. Who's going to win the game, Mitch? I don't give a shit about these fucking bells. Who's going to win the game? I'm picking Mississippi. Who you got?
I got Ole Miss.
Okay, thank you. God dang. Next, he's going to ask me, what color are the shoelaces going to be? How many jugs of Gatorade they going to have on the sideline? Come on.
All right, you ready to go? You need to go to the bathroom. You need to go take your potty break.
I'd probably be more receptive if my bladder wasn't the size of a basketball right now.
All right, we'll go take.
Was there any other picks? That was it for the picks?
That's it. There's no more picks.
So, you got nothing else.
You
got nothing else.
What am I missing?
What does this mean?
The Georgia Bulldogs are the #1 team in the country.
Sorry.
Sorry. Good night, everybody. See you next Tuesday.